Hey, what's up? It's Bond. Let's talk about Mass Effect. Today, I'm going to do some Mass Effect Reddit subreddit content, but I do think it's kind of interesting and something that would be fun to talk about when it comes to the next Mass Effect game. If you like Mass Effect, if you like games in general, gaming news, anything else related to games, please subscribe to this channel. Like this video if you do, and if you have your own thoughts or you want to answer the question or answering today, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. I would very much appreciate it. Let's jump into the video. Today I want to talk about a post I made a few days ago on the Mass Effect subreddit saying, what hubs would you like to see in the next game? I basically said, hey, like what hubs would you like to see? We know that in Mass Effect 2 and, well, really more 3 than 2, we were missing those hubs. We basically had the Citadel, and you do have the Citadel DLC, the apartment, but that's about it as you go through the game. I really hope the next game has more hubs, and I actually kicked off this conversation in the subreddit saying my ideas for hubs would be a Citadel that's the size of Mass Effect 1's or larger, that obviously has modern fidelity, a ship experience more like the Tempest, especially being able to see the planet and surroundings of wherever you are, because think what you do about Andromeda, but I really do feel like the Tempest felt like a hub because of the way it just was done, more so than even the Normandy ever did, at least in my opinion. I would love to see an Alliance spaceport or station, like a military outpost that's relatively large. When I believe it's Mass Effect 1, you hear Kaidan and or Ashley discussing how the Citadel dwarfs even the absolute largest human station that's out there, but I bet that human station is still pretty huge, and it would be really interesting to see. Various homeworld spots that we haven't seen before. I like the Quarians a lot. I think it would be really interesting to see a post-Reaper War Rannoch, assuming that the Geth and Quarians have made peace, or the Quarians on their own have resettled the planet. I think it'd be really interesting to see. They would be especially interesting, and I think I talked about this in some of the comments, because I think at least in the early years, you would see them basically landing some of their ships and just turning their ships into structures, or reusing parts of their ships as structures. I think that from an art standpoint could be really interesting, and we have to have something on Earth. I think that we will play as humans in the next game, and I think it'd be really interesting to see just at least one or two cities on Earth, especially as they're rebuilding or after they're rebuilt from the Reaper War. Some other answers I thought were interesting was here we had I'd like to see a Solarian colony. So we do see in Mass Effect 3 we finally see a STG base outpost, but we never really get to see a Solarian city. And they also had the idea that it sounds like if Shepard's not a big part of the game, that a Shepard museum would be interesting to be able to go through. And I don't disagree. I think you would assume that if this game takes place way after 3 and Shepard's no longer around, there would be countless monuments and things like that to Shepard, because even before the war, they were a fairly well-known person in the Alliance. Here we had a few from Andrew Kun, a city hub on Earth, which is kind of the same idea I had. A Mass Effect 1 Citadel, same idea as myself. Omega as the Terminus Systems hub. It would be interesting to see what like a modern Omega looks like. I think there's a slight chance some of the art we saw last year in 2022 may have been Omega, but the more I think about it, the less I do. So it would be interesting to see what a revamped Omega would look like. I assume still under Aria's control, even if the game takes place a long time after 3. Something to think about. And then the migrant fleet as a sort of wandering hub, which would be interesting. Now, this person kind of dismisses this idea a little bit because of the Quarian's immune system. They seem to have an idea that, the events of 3 may not carry over. I think the migrant fleet would be interesting because even if the Quarians don't resettle, or even if they do resettle Rannoch, I would actually expect them to continue being a very naval, a very ship-based peoples, even if they do have a home planet, where you may see the older Quarians staying on the ships and just living out their lives there, and maybe some of the younger Quarians moving to Rannoch and trying to rebuild what they used to have. I think that could be really interesting. This one was really cool. I'd never even heard of this, but Tortuga is apparently in the Terminus systems, and it's supposed to be a big, basically like a pirate harbor. And that sounds so interesting and could be such an interesting place for us to go, even if we're like a representative of the Alliance or of the Citadel Council space. Maybe we would need to go to this pirate place to find a squad mate that is essential to our next mission. That would be really interesting, and seeing what they could do with like pirate iconography and things like that, I think would be really interesting. Seeing Palaven or any other major Turian colony, I would love to see a Turian city. That would be a really cool opportunity, much like the Solarians, to show us like unique Turian architecture and things like that. The same here with Earth, that isn't London. I think it would be interesting to see like Vancouver, after it recovers, because I believe that's where the game starts, and is like one of the Alliance headquarters. And then again, we have Omega rebuilt, a Palaven hub, Azure. And then we started to get into some less serious ones or repeats, but I really I love this idea. I love it's such an easy thing to speculate about because you're not hurting anyone's feelings. There shouldn't be any big arguments about what's canon or won't be canon, and so I want you to let me know what you would like to see as a hub in the next Mass Effect game. I think there's lots of possibilities. There were some good ones in this thread, but down in the comments, let me know what you would like to see, and maybe I can do a follow-up video if we get enough responses. Again, if you like Mass Effect, if you want more Mass Effect videos, whether it's speculation like this, or whether it's news when news happens, without the spin, without making stuff up, without pretending there's news every week, because there isn't. There's probably going to be news about 2 times a year for a while. Please subscribe to the channel, watch my videos, like them if you do, comment on them. It all helps the algorithm, and things are looking great for the channel this year. I'm very thankful to all of you who are watching. So, on that note, check me out on all social media places as Von Diesel, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, anywhere else you can really try to find people. But other than that, that's all I have. So until next time.